Hello friends! I feel pretty awful right now, but I'm thinking that making this video might be kind of therapeutic for me. I feel like it's kind of time for me to talk about a condition that I have that has recently affected me, and if you go to school with me, you've probably noticed that I've missed quite a few days, if not a week at a time, and this is going to be why. I basically have a disease called Eosinophilic Esophagitis, or EOE. EOE is a autoimmune mediated disease that is chronic, and it causes a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort, among other problems. I am basically severely allergic to something that we don't know about or know of that won't show up on a normal allergy test, and I'm allergic to this thing on a stomach level, which means that I eat whatever this thing is, and as a result, my stomach freaks out. Your body has these little white blood cells called eosinophils, and they kind of just sit in your stomach just in case you end up having a reaction to something. Well, in my case, I am allergic to something, and as a result, I need those white blood cells to do their job. But my body is like, whoa, you're not supposed to be having a reaction. And so it sends a ton of those cells in order to fight that reaction. So as a result of the over amount of these cells, they start building up in my stomach, and then they start moving into my esophagus where they're not supposed to be. Because of the buildup of the cells getting stuck in my esophagus, it causes issues like a lot of swelling. I have trouble breathing sometimes, I have trouble swallowing, and there's just a lot of other issues that come with it, and it all basically comes down to eating. I was diagnosed with this about a month ago after I got an endoscopy where they look inside your esophagus and your stomach, and then they take a biopsy, and then they see how many cells of eosinophils is in a specific surface area. Because of my difficulties with eating and swallowing and getting things down, and keeping food down is also an issue that I have. Things such as malnutrition and severe dehydration is something that I struggle with. I can't keep water down without throwing up. Food is hard for me to keep down as well. Unfortunately, there is no cure for this right now. It's a very rare disease. Only about 1 in every 2,000 people have it. So there's not a lot of research going on. Well, there's a lot of research going on, but there's not a lot of research found because it was only discovered in about the 90s. This disease takes me out pretty bad. I have a lot of chest pains and stomach pains, along with a lot of nausea and just sickness and not being able to eat, which causes a lot of muscle loss and strength loss and fatigued all the time. So if you go to school with me and I've been missing school, that's why. I don't normally tell people that I have this disease as of recently, just because I don't feel like it's something that I should just start within a conversation. However, I feel like it's time for me to kind of talk about it. Plus, it might be helpful for me to kind of let everything out. Because there's no cure, there's only a certain amount of treatments that are available for this. One of them is a steroid, which I have. It is called budesonide, and it's a pretty intense steroid. The steroid is originally intended for kids with asthma. You put it in a machine called a nebulizer, and the nebulizer turns the little vials into a vapor for kids with asthma to breathe, and it helps reduce inflammation in your lungs. But because it reduces inflammation, it can also be used for other things, from what we've learned. So I do have asthma, but that's not why I'm taking this, and I don't take it as a breathing treatment. I actually take double the normal amount in a liquid form, and I swallow it, so I drink it. We have to mix it with this really nasty powder, which was causing me problems, so now I use applesauce, but I have to put it in a thick substance for when I swallow it. It coats my throat, and that's what helps with healing, because my esophagus is what's damaged, not necessarily my stomach. I also take a PPI, which is this. The countertop name for it is Nexium. It's an acid reducer. A lot of people use it with acid reflux, but it's also an anti-inflammatory, so I use that, and I take that every morning. The steroid doesn't taste super bad. It honestly doesn't really have a taste because it's meant to be breathed, but it does have side effects. I wake up super nauseous and I'm sick all the time, and part of that is also my disease, but another part of it is also the budesonide. EOE, because it's a fairly new thing, is very heavily being researched right now within digestive associations and allergist study groups. Like, it's a very heavily studied thing right now. And because of that, there's a lot of clinical trials going on. I am constantly in pain, and I'm pretty much always nauseous. Because I'm always nauseous and sick and in pain all the time, I don't want to eat. A symptom of EOE is no appetite, so I'm never hungry, ever, which is where the malnutrition comes in. I can go days without eating and not even notice because I'm not hungry and I'm in pain. And along with that, because I'm allergic to something that we don't know of, and it's probably something super rare, I also can't drink water. For whatever reason, tap water and sink water makes me extraordinarily sick, and even certain bottled waters that have been filtered still make me sick. And I have a really hard time drinking water without feeling the need to throw up, which is where the dehydration comes in, which unfortunately also causes problems like muscle loss and a whole bunch of things like fatigue, and I'm tired all the time. I can't sleep. Sleeping is another part of the steroid. I get like 3 hours every night. And it's unfortunate because there is no cure for it right now. There's research going on, but there's no set cure for everyone. It's also a very subjective disease. It's different for everyone, and I'm on a support group, but we all have similar symptoms, but everyone is having to find their own way of working through it and curing it. The medicines that I'm on, specifically the steroid, I will be on for about 3 months minimum every day. I take double the normal amount because I'm swallowing it. I'll be on it for about, like I said, 3 months, but it'll most likely be around 6 months because I have to keep taking it in order to keep the inflammation and damage down as I keep eating whatever it is I'm allergic to that we can't figure out. Things like a skin prick test or blood work doesn't associate with EOE. They don't go together. So I took a skin prick test and a bunch of things came up. However, it doesn't correlate with my EOE. For example, if on my skin prick test it comes up with no allergy to gluten, well, that might not be true. My stomach might be having a reaction or allergic to gluten, but it didn't come up on my skin prick test or on blood work, which is also super not convenient because it makes it a lot harder to try to figure out what we're allergic to. And there's 6 main allergy groups: dairy, gluten, eggs, nuts, soy, and fish. And I've taken all of those out of my diet for about a month and I'm still having major issues. So I'm a special case where we can't figure out what I'm allergic to. Regarding school and church and activities, the reason I've been missing out on so many things is because of this disease. It's very restrictive. I can't do much. I'm sick or in pain all the time, or I'm weak because I haven't been eating. Different things like that, which is really sad because I miss doing the things that I want to do, and there's been a lot of tears cried over this, but unfortunately there's not much we can do about it. The missing things like hanging out with friends or going to football games or doing things that I normally would be doing my senior year are no longer an option for me. The next 6 months might be awful. They might get better. We don't know. I might still be here in the same place with all of this issues and pain and nasty stuff going on in 6 months. If I get in the clinical trial, that could change some things. So it's honestly all in God's hands. And there's not much that we can do about it as people. I will be okay. We're going to get through this. It's just a very tricky disease that's going to take a lot of patience. And I am very open to questions if you have any, or if something wasn't clear, you feel free to ask me. There is a link on my profile if you end up wanting to do your own research. That might be helpful, especially if you know me personally. If I didn't explain things clear enough, it might be helpful to do your own research and kind of getting a better understanding of what this is. Prayers are very appreciated as we go through this. and I fully trust that God will use this for the best of His glory, and I'll make it through this alive. I believe that. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful and educational and was able to give you information that you needed if you were curious about me and why I've been missing things, if you know me personally. And if you didn't know me personally, then I hope that this helps bring some awareness to this very complicated and rare disease.